for the digital instruments of the vehicle and not the vehicle as a whole. And that is why, like my Ms. Jayshree rightly said, that we would want you to reconsider uh, the base at which you're calculating these royalties. And if this sounds good to you, we'd like to hear what you have to say about this.
I hear you, Max and Jeshri, but what I wanted to clarify is that how I see it, and generally being in the intellectual property space for quite some time, I see that the SEP price is always calculated for all the customers, regardless of whatever the base price is. And I hear your concern regarding it only adding to a particular component of it. However, how I see it and how I believe that it is actually that if we start charging differential royalty amounts, we see it in a manner which is discriminatory. Perhaps there are certain legal implications of the same, which my counsel would be in a better position to answer. Over to you, Priyanka.
Absolutely. So just to provide you a little bit of context as to where we're coming from, because of the size and the number of patents that we own, we are in a position, we are well known and well respected across the world. And because of this, we owe a specific duty to all of our consumers to ensure that we're providing them with equal terms at all points of time. So it is because of this that we are not in a position to consider any differential methods with respect to how royalty is calculated, because in the event that we were in fact to grant you this concession, we are at a risk from other customers of legal action in terms of being discriminatory. So we understand that you might feel like we're being discriminatory towards you, but actually by giving you this concession, we might be in a position where we would face the same allegation from a lot of other people. So this is kind of a precarious situation for us, and we were just hoping that you could understand the same.
I completely hear you, Ms. Priyanka. And I did a fair bit of research on this bit, and we wanted to see if this in fact would be discriminatory. And I did come across some sort of case laws that showed that it depends on the type of product that you charged a particular royalty. And I believe in there have been instances where like products have been treated like alike, and unlike products have been treated differentially. And SEP holders have provided for flexible rates, and that is what we ask of you, because we are, at the end of the day, we can't be compared to a headset manufacturer whose central functionality again will rely completely on your SEP technology. So we'd like you to take this into consideration and perhaps get back to us with a better rate, because this wouldn't be suitable for us in the longer run economically or financially, because it, at the end of the day, doesn't contribute to the central functionality of the vehicle itself.
Adding on to what Jayshree said, I'm sorry if I'm intervening.
Yeah, please continue, Mr.
Yeah. So adding on to what Jayshree said, like I said before, we'd really want you to just look at us in a different light, because we believe that we are unlike the customers that you usually have, which are, like Jayshree said, headset producers. So if we are treated differently in this instance, we don't believe it will be discriminatory, because you are entering into a new market, if I may say so, which might even have future possibilities. And just that is why we asked for this concession, and that is why we believe that there is such a huge difference between our initial offers, that is 15 and 9. So we'd just like you to consider all of this before giving us another offer.
Right, I hear you. How I see it is that, with respect to, we believe that the pricing of SEP is in fact reasonable and non-discriminatory. And why we cannot per se make concessions in terms of differential pricing towards you is because the current existing prices is something that is the license price for all the other consumers which are in the telecom industry. Secondly, we also believe that it helps us in achieving this pricing that we're telling you. It helps us in achieving economies of scale and interoperability. And the reason why I say that is because it enables different technologies to work together. And it also, the pricing that we charged and the price that we have been charging, that is $15, has offered the consumers with an increased option to choose from different complementary product in the same market. So to that effect, we believe that the pricing is in fact reasonable and fair. Perhaps Priyanka, if you would like to add anything here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hear you, and we understand that you believe that almost all of our customers are in fact only mobile headset producers, but we actually have a diverse portfolio of clients that does not only extend to them. So we just wanted to clarify at this stage that the price that's provided is uniform across all of them. We do not look at them in terms of their business, but in terms of the fact that they originate from the telecom sector. Therefore, just adding to what Lee said, our price mentioned that there are some financial considerations involved and you would not be in a position to perhaps provide us the payment. Could you tell us a little bit about the same? My apologies, I guess I broke off. Could someone tell me where I broke off?
No, I think you were audible.
Okay.
Mostly, for the most part. Max, would you like to go ahead?
So I'm sorry, but I couldn't hear her. So if you did, can you please respond to that? Because for me, she wasn't audible.
So I believe from what I understand it is that they wouldn't want to let go of their rate because it would in turn be discriminatory towards their other customers. But they'd like to know what our stance is and how why we demand for a lower fees and what our economic status is.
So why we demand for a lower fee, which is basically $9 per unit sold, is because the way we look at our relationship with Liangzi is a long-term relationship, not just pertaining to the 5 years that we will be selling units of Ultimative, but maybe even collaborating and creating smart systems for other cars that we roll out subsequently as well. So I'd like to, and it's my pleasure to inform you that our competent R&D department has come up with certain SCPs for Ultimative themselves. In fact, we were planning the smart car for a long time now. We have recognized that this industry is going to boom and it is the future. So we have, certain SCP capable patents in our hands, which we estimate are going to form an SCP themselves, are capable of forming an SCP themselves, but we do not want to release them preemptively. And we were just thinking that with your collaboration, with your expertise in the telecommunication and our expertise in the automobile industry, we can come up with a different SCP that no other telecommunication company has right now, and both of us can benefit from that later, and it can be even used in our future subsequent car models that we do roll out. So this is something that we had in mind for future collaborations, and we were hoping that considering this, you will consider our lower compared to your price, but lower price of $9 per unit sold. And yeah, please, Jayashree.
Rest assured, I must I will forward case law details to you if required, but I have made sure that this, if should you give us a lower price, it wouldn't be discriminatory in any manner and wouldn't affect your relationships with other clients. So I can assure you of the same, and I can provide to Ms. Priyanka any details later outside of this session. But one of the factors that we would like you to consider is that we are looking for a long-term relationship with you, and that my client wants to collaborate in the future with regard to technologies, and in view of making sure that the existing technology that my client has developed is further developed in collaboration with yours. And you do understand how much cost goes into R&D and developing such technology, and you do also understand the returns that come about once this technology is registered as an SCP. So we'd like to hear from you with regard to what other constraints you might have with regard to giving us a lower fee, because I have from my side assured to you that there wouldn't be any sort of claims with regard to discriminatory terms. But if there's anything else that we can understand better, we'd like you to shed light on the same.
Yeah, sure. I'll just take up the discriminatory bit, and then perhaps Lee, if there's anything that you can add. I see that we're running short of time, so do we have some more time to continue this session if the room organizers could confirm that?
Yeah, you may, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Sure. So, Jayashree, I hear you that you have certain case laws and everything, and I completely understand your situation. Thank you very much for understanding that we have this concern about discrimination. But talking too much about case laws and legalities is taking me back to our adversarial setup, and I'm urging us that, let's just look at the future here, because I believe you mentioned that a future relationship is something that you're looking forward to. So I think that's something that we would like to understand in terms of what you had in mind for a future relationship. And in terms of understanding our restrictions on why we're charging this specific amount, perhaps Lee is best suited to help you guys with the same.
Right. Thank you so much, Priyanka. And I hear you, Max and Jeshri, that you're looking for a future collaboration. So, with that respect, and that you want to continue the long-term relationship, right? So, what I was thinking instead was that since, as already mentioned, that we don't want to lower the prices, considering the discriminatory implications of it that would come on us. Instead, rather than giving us a down payment that we demanded immediately for the 5 years that we had, why don't we split up the amount in a 50-50 setup? So as I see it, is that we are charging you for $15, and the expected sales amount is perhaps a million. So 15 instead of 75 million, you could pay us 50% of the amount right now, and rest of the 50% amount proportionately over the course of the remaining 4 years. And how I see it is beneficial for both the parties is that that we see that you are planning to complete the production of Ultimative by 2022. So that way you could pay us proportionately over the course of the 4 years from the sales revenue that is generated out of Ultimative. So that is not a significant financial impact on you. Secondly, we're making a consideration with respect to you because we value our commercial relationship, and we believe that that is very important because as standard industry practice dictates, normally a down payment is obtained. So perhaps if that is something that could be considered, we would be more than happy to collaborate with you in terms of research and development so that we could aid and assist you further. I would love to hear from you about this.
Max, you want to go ahead? Can you hear us?
I couldn't hear bits of that. I'm sorry. I think there's some issue with my network. Jashi, if you would mind taking that.
Yeah, sure. So I believe that the Lee is asking you about Lee is not willing to budge on the rate as of now, and that they'd like to hear from you with regard to what sort of collaborations you have in mind. And they had asked for a different mode of payment with regard to what they've asked us. They would like us to pay 50% of the requested amount right now, and 50% later on. So they're waiving off the 100% down payment criteria.
Thank you for that generous and well thought of offer. So in order for you to better understand why we're so adamant on not budging from our initial offer as well, is because we see Automative doing really well. We have made it as an affordable car, and when we say that we made it as an affordable car, we're not cutting on any of the technology aspects, so we're not cutting on the standards of the quality. What we're cutting on is our profits, and that means that since we're taking less profits, we can't afford to be paying you guys so much as to the tune of $15 per unit. So now our estimated sales for the first year is 1 million units. And as you know, in the car industry, as the car model gets older, the estimated sales not only come down, but even the price for per unit sold depreciates. Now, if we agree on a fixed price for every unit sold, that not only be that will be detrimental to us and our future sales. About the future collaboration, having said this, and trying to make you understand why we can't budge from the $9 figure, is because of the reasons stated as follows. And I don't mind dividing the payment structure in the following ways, but I don't see how it's much different from what you had initially offered. Jashi, if you want to add on this.
Yeah, perhaps I could also, with regard, because my client is sort of looking for a lower figure in terms of royalty rate, no matter what, and that's something we can't really move ahead from without sort of coming to a middle path, if I may. Something that I thought can remedy the situation is perhaps a confidentiality agreement with regard to even the amount that we do decide on. Perhaps it wouldn't have to be disclosed to your clients, and I'm sure any discussions and agreements that we do enter into, we can make sure that any rates that we decide on remain confidential, and therefore this wouldn't come up as it wouldn't come up, and nobody would call it discriminatory, if I may. And this is, I'm again going to state that we are a client that is one of a kind, and that we're not alike at all to your other clients. So what would you think about a possible confidentiality agreement, and if that because from what I understand, your only concern is with regard to other clients of yours raising discriminatory claims. So perhaps a confidentiality agreement will alleviate that fear of
And
yours.
just to add to that, I do understand that both our companies' reputations and mainly reputations are at stake. And even though, before entering into an agreement with you, we did hear that you guys had a tendency to charge other clients higher rates for your SCPs, but we were still very certain that you will look at us a different way. And because this is something new that we're venturing into, we will get some form of concession that your other clients did not get. So uh, maybe you can consider this.
I hear the allegation, Max, and to that, what I wanted to say is that the differential royalty rates amount that perhaps you would be knowing are subject to internal negotiations between the licensees that we have and are governed by confidentiality terms. So I'm not at liberty to disclose them. However, I hear you, Jeshri, that you want us to enter into an NDA. Perhaps the legalities is something that Priyanka might handle, but how I see it is that our ethical practices generally do not allow us to enter into any sort of NDA that might be, detrimental to the already existing licensees. So perhaps to that, Max, how I would like to respond is that, right now the payment as we discussed could be done in terms of 50% right now and 50% proportionately over the course of the next 4 years, and the in the future we can definitely discuss and get back on a negotiation with respect to the existing royalty amount. So perhaps then after 5-year period has elapsed, we can most definitely reduce them and consider your call completely. Priyanka, if you could please brief them about the legalities of the NDA and perhaps then we can close.
Yeah, absolutely. So, how we see it, Jayashree, is that entering into a confidentiality agreement doesn't exactly solve our problem, because the purpose of ensuring a uniform rate across all our customers is to ensure that we do not get into any regulatory hassles from any antitrust regulators. And forgive me at the cost of using some legal jargon here, but I'm sure you would understand. So, even if we signed a confidentiality agreement with you, it would still go against our policy of ensuring that we do not misuse our position. Because considering that we are a very large company in this market, we sort of owe this obligation to all telecom customers that we have. So it is from that perspective that I'm not actually sure that entering into a confidentiality agreement with you would actually be able to alleviate any of our concerns, if that better helps you understand where we're coming from.
I completely hear you. Perhaps because this we're running short of time, and because we aren't sort of I do need to discuss a little bit with Max before we make any sort of agreements, even in principle, with regard to the rate. And perhaps we could come up with certain innovative solutions with regard to even the royalty rate. I understand your position, and I completely hear you with regard to your concerns. But perhaps what we were hoping for with the session was perhaps that future collaboration, as in the near future, where that Max proposed, would help set off whatever amounts are to be recovered from a reduced royalty fee. But perhaps this obviously requires a longer discussion, and I'm so happy that we've made this much progress, and we completely hear your concerns. And if there's anything else that you would like us to consider, we'll definitely take it back, discuss internally, and then get back to you perhaps the next week. But we're happy for hearing us out, and we hope you can also get back to us with hopefully better proposals, if any. Max, would you like to say some words?
I'd like to thank Ms. Lee for her offer of, restructuring the method of payment. And I'd like to assure her that, it is something that we will go back, ponder upon, and maybe even consider. But having said that, uh, you know, just to clarify so that even you have something to take back and think about, is that our only concern is that the structure of payments that you have proposed does not, we didn't have a issue in paying you sum directly in the first place. It's just the rate at which each unit sold is being proposed to us, which seems problematic to us. And I hope through this negotiation session, you were able to understand the same. And having said that, I'd like to thank Ms. Priyanka for being here and assisting Ms. Lee in this negotiation. And I hope that, we're able to schedule a date for a future meeting very soon, and we're able to discuss this through.
Right. Thank you so much, Max. I hear you and I completely understand, the complex and high costs of innovation. But from where I come is, and from where I see it is that, developing a certain product and obtaining an SEP involves years of research and a significant financial implication and expenditure to, sort of develop that technology and further patent it. So I will completely consider your offer, and perhaps, as you've clearly mentioned, that next time I hope when we meet, we are able to reach a consensus that benefits both of us and we can take back something. But I still feel that, we've made a significant headway, and I'm happy with the outcome of this negotiation session. Over to you, yeah, Priyanka.
Yeah, once again, Max and Jayashree, thank you for inviting us to this negotiation session. I think we had a great start in terms of the fact that both of us are very clear that an adversarial stance is something that we're not willing to even consider again. And also that there's some sort of collaboration that we're looking forward to in the near future. We didn't get quite into the details of the same, but just knowing that there's a relationship that we want to maintain gives us a lot of momentum and impetus to ensure that our negotiation is in fact successful. We did float around a significant number of offers from both our sides. We've heard each other's concerns, and I think everything that Max and Lee, you guys have told each other, will in fact help you all to ponder over the offers that have been floated over the table. And we look forward to a great session with you over the next week. And Jayashree will get in touch and schedule the session.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've made great progress. Is there a glitch in?
Yeah, it's a glitch, I believe, on her part. You could please continue with your closing statement.
Yeah. All right. I'm so glad we've made this much progress. We definitely are get in touch with Priyanka, and we'll fix a date for the next meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you, participants. If the judges have any questions, they can please proceed with that.
I'm okay, thank you.
Yeah. So, what do you think? What is the main reason for failure of this negotiation at this stage? Apart from, I don't see both of you didn't have any offer in midway. Like one party was offering $15, one party was saying $9. Don't you think it should be in midway of somewhere? And I have not seen any kind of proposal in between that. So what is the main reason behind this? If requesting party may answer this.
So we would get to proposing something midway if they would say that they were willing to budge from their initial offer of $15 per unit sold. But that itself was absurdly high for us and our company. And that is why, just trying to make them understand that they can charge us a different rate, and that won't impact their relationship with their other clients, and it won't amount to discriminatory practice, was what we were trying to do initially, so that at least they budge from the $15 figure. Sandhya.
I think you've covered it more or less.
That's fine.
So from our side, we had a quite clear instruction from the confidential information that we are not in a position to consider any price change. And our priority was to ensure that this particular settlement doesn't go to court again. So our main motive was to ensure that they're willing to dump the adversarial way, for lack of better words. So it was with that approach in mind that we probably planned the session. Is there anything I'm missing out, Mahima?
Yeah, and also, so basically, it is not up to us to decide whether we are compliant with the FRAN terms, right? Because I believe that that is something that the SSO decides, and that so what we were considering instead was, because we knew that they would claim that we're charging exorbitantly high prices, so we thought that we could provide them with a report which sort of basically tries to indicate that we are compliant with the FRAN terms and that the pricing is unfair. Instead, actually, it's reasonable and fair. So I think that's the line along which we were thinking, and probably because our we would be in significant losses if we would bring down the amount from $15. So that is why it was clearly stated that we cannot budge from it.
Thank you.
Right. I have a question for the requesting party, and I think if it's Jayashree, I think she said there are some case laws which she has to put forward. Can I know what are those case laws?
I just had one. It's called it's called TCL versus Ericsson, wherein the court when the court held that the FRAN terms, licensing terms have to be non-discriminatory, and basically that like products must be treated alike and unlike products must be treated differentially, which is what I was trying to convey to them, that it wouldn't amount to discriminatory practice if they charge us a lesser fee, and that it can't be challenged. And in fact, it goes towards establishing a fair and reasonable price, because at the end of the day, the contribution that the patent technology has to the final end product is a huge consideration in terms of reasonability. So that is what I wanted to put across. Yeah.
All right. Do you have the citation with you?
I don't have the citation. I can get it to you, but I didn't want to discuss the case itself during the session because it's not an adversarial process. But I can get you the citation. I can put it on the chat box.
Yes, please do. Thank you so much.
No problem, ma'am.
So I'll put the participants in the waiting room while the judges can discuss over your performance, and I'll bring